Hi guys, γεια σας και καλώς ήρθατε to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making a classic shepherd's pie, except since we're using beef today, it's known as a cottage pie, I've been told on my Instagram stories. I wasn't planning on sharing this one with you guys. It's just something that I made for the kids. I always share behind the scenes little clips on my Instagram stories with you guys, and I got so many requests wanting to learn how I make it. So here it is, I'm bringing it to you. It's a great meal to make for a weeknight dinner. It's also nice if you're hosting a party because really everyone likes this, especially the kids. So I start off by cutting an onion. This is a medium-sized onion. I just finely chop it, sprinkle a little bit of salt on it, and about 4 or 5 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm gonna cook it over medium-high heat until it's nice and soft and golden. Then I have 2 pounds of russet potatoes. Those are baking potatoes. I just peeled them and then I soaked them in cold water because I started preparing them earlier in the day. That just keeps them from turning brown. I'm just gonna cut them into big chunks and put them in a pot of water, cover them with water that is, sprinkle lots of salt on them. I like to put 2 teaspoons because potatoes soak up the salt, they really need it. And I'm just gonna boil them until they're nice and tender, fork tender. That's gonna take about 12-15 minutes or so. It all depends on your stovetop and on your potatoes. All right, so the onions are nice and soft. Now I'm gonna add 2 pounds of ground beef. Now, shepherd's pie is made with ground lamb, but you can make this with ground chicken, ground turkey, ground beef, whatever you have on hand, whatever you like. So I have about 4 or 5 garlic cloves that I've grated that I'm adding to the pan with the beef. I'm also going to season with a little bit of salt. We'll start with 1 teaspoon. Some freshly cracked black pepper. Some meaning lots, but you put as much as you want. About a teaspoon of thyme. And 1 to 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. That's not a tongue twister. I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste for a little bit of richness. There's 1. We eyeball everything around here. There's 2. If you don't have tomato paste, you can use a 15-ounce can of crushed or diced tomatoes. That'll work too. The canned tomatoes are going to give it more of a tomato flavor and more of a sauce, where the tomato paste is just going to add that richness, that nice tomato flavor, but not that much sauce. So it's up to you what you prefer. And I'm just going to cook this down for about 10 minutes until the beef is perfectly cooked and browned. All right, so the meat sauce is done just like that in like 10 minutes. This is a very quick dish to put together. You just want to taste it and make sure that the seasoning is right. And then at this point, just add a little bit of dried oregano. You can add rosemary instead. And just, I'm going to leave the heat on because actually now we're going to add the corn and the peas. I like to use frozen corn, and it's about 3/4 cup of each. You put as much as you like. That's my rule. Here's the corn, and since we like corn, I'm just going to put a little bit more. And I also have frozen green peas, and I'm going to put a little bit of those in here too. And I'm actually going to turn off the heat because the residual heat that's already in here, cast iron really does retain heat well. It should just thaw these out, and it is going to continue to cook in the oven, so I'm not worried about it. Just break them up and go in there every few minutes, just that way everything is well incorporated and distributed. And then you can go in and give it another taste once you've added the veggies, and if it needs more seasoning, go ahead and add it. I'm just waiting on my potatoes now. All right, so once the potatoes are fork tender, go ahead and drain the water out and just put them back in the same pot. Now we're just gonna mash them up, but we're gonna mash them with lots of butter. I'm gonna start off with half a stick that I'm just gonna cut into chunks. I'm gonna season them with a little bit of salt and a little bit of granulated garlic powder. I don't like to use raw grated garlic in mashed potatoes because it has too much of a bite to it. If you want a milder garlic flavor, you could throw a few cloves of garlic in the same water that the potatoes are boiling in, and then you can just get those out before you drain the water and mash them together. They'll soften up a lot. So right now the heat is off, but the pan is still really, really hot. As you see, it's steaming hot. Go ahead and mash the potatoes with a potato masher. And now I'm just going to turn the heat on medium underneath the pot. And I'm going to add about half a cup of half and half. Half and half is basically half heavy whipping cream and half milk. You can use all milk or you can use all heavy whipping cream if you want them more rich and, you know, creamy. But the half and half to me is like the perfect balance. So just go ahead and mix everything together. And you can get them to the consistency that you like. If you like them thinner, add a little bit more, half and half. If you don't want them that rich, you can add some chicken broth to this so that way you don't have to add that much cream to it. Potatoes are supposed to be rich though. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more. And actually we don't even need the heat. I'm turning the heat off. And just mix everything all together. The potatoes really absorb all of the cream. I'm gonna add a little bit of black pepper and the rest of this butter. You can add as much butter as you want. You are the boss of your kitchen. And taste them, see if they need more salt. And of course they do. You'd think we added so much salt, but potatoes are so bland, they need lots and lots of salt. So taste as you go and season to suit your family's liking. If you like bland food, go on with your bad self. Make it bland. Don't add any more salt. We like it well seasoned around here. A little more heavy cream or half and half. And that's it. The potatoes are ready. And then you're just going to spread the potatoes on top of the ground beef mixture. Now, if you want to spread this out in a 9 by 13 inch baking dish, it's going to be thinner. The pieces, your serving sizes are not going to be as thick and as hearty as these are. But since I started in the cast iron skillet, why dirty another pan, right? You guys, that's my logic. And plus, I think it looks really nice. I love to serve things in the skillet. I just think they look more rustic, more nice, more family style. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This is going to go in there and bake for about 30 or 40 minutes or so. And then I'm going to take it out, let it sit for about 10-15 minutes, and then it's going to be ready to serve. So just like that, the shepherd's pie is ready. Now, if you want to make a double batch, and instead of baking one, you can just put it in the freezer and then bake it whenever you need it. It'll keep fresh in the freezer up to a month, so it's good to have on hand. Time for the taste test. Such a cozy and delicious meal. Perfect for the whole family. So much flavor, and it's so easy to put together. These are literally ingredients that I have on hand all the time. I always have potatoes. I usually have ground beef in the freezer, and I always have some sort of vegetable, frozen vegetable in the freezer. You don't have to stick to the peas and carrots. You can use any vegetable you have, any vegetable you love. I hope you guys give this one a try. The exact measurements are going to be on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. If you have any special requests that you want to learn how to make, any recipes, post them in the comments below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.